News CEO is insisting the organization is not biased despite stepping down amid a growing scandal over a Trump documentary.
Todd Pyro has the details. That omission, peacefully protest, they forgot to put that in his speech.
Yeah, kind of a key word, Ainsley.
Correct.
Good morning again to all three of you. The British Broadcast Corporation, BBC, getting into some big hot water over this clip of Trump's speech January 6, 2021, featured in a documentary which critics say was misleading because, as Ainsley just alluded to, it left out the president urging supporters to protest peacefully.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them.
Trump.
Yeah, they need to be sued. And I heard that the Trump administration is actually suing for $1 billion. $1 billion. And see, this is why I don't take what people say seriously. Because a lot of these news organizations that are supposed to be above board, they're supposed to just be reporting the news. They're not supposed to be biased. They're not supposed to be changing it to make it seem like somebody is, and throwing music behind it and making it seem like it's something that it's not. This is why the Trump administration is going after these news organizations, because they are taking speeches and they are modifying them and editing them to make it seem like Trump is a dictator, that he's a fascist, that he's an authoritarian, and that he's using his power to march against our Congress people and our soldiers and all of that stuff. And see, again, yep, the news is corrupted, Tony. The news is corrupt. And then, after the BBC's CEO stepped down, I believe it was a CEO stepped down, she gonna sit there and say, oh no, we operate with integrity, and this is in no way to show that our leadership is failing or that our news organization is not above the highest standards and all of this stuff. That's crazy. That is literally crazy how you can edit a speech like that and then they can act like it's nothing wrong whatsoever. That's why the CEO resigned, is they facing $1 billion lawsuit. The general director resigned. That lady resigned. These people is dirty. These people is dirty as hell. I can't believe that they walking around here and they just doctor the speech like that, and everybody just go with it and everybody just believe it, and that's just the end of the conversation. That is so dirty, bro. That is so dirty.
Probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them.
Trump's lawyers writing to the BBC saying he would sue for $1 billion in damages unless the BBC issues a retraction and compensates him.
I think I have an obligation to do it because you can't allow people to do that. I couldn't allow 60 Minutes. We settled that one for many millions of dollars, and I couldn't have allowed that to take place. They changed the answer that Kamala gave. They took out the entire answer and they put another answer in.
BBC's CEO of News, Deborah Turnus, has resigned in the wake of the scandal, but brushed off reporters earlier this week, standing by the media outlet's work.
Of course our journalists aren't corrupt. Our journalists are hard-working people who strive for impartiality, and I will stand by their journalism.
But how can you do that? Like, how can you stand by their work and they clearly doctored the video? And then the way that it works at these news organizations, let me tell you how it works at these news organizations. Yep, Anton has been able to peek behind the curtain on the local news, on the national news. I know several different producers. I know exactly how it works, right? So a lot of times how it works on these news organizations is, first of all, Most of this stuff is produced. So they go out, they find what they're looking for, and then they create a narrative behind it. Then they do the work, and then they produce it, and then somebody, a higher up, has to give the green light for you to release it. You have to have a layer of authority that then validates that what you're doing is okay and it has integrity and that you can release it to the general public. So they don't just give you a Twitter account or whoever is the head of the Twitter account, or they just give you control over the YouTube account and say that you can chop up and put out whatever it is that you want. They have levels and levels that give you the green light, push the button and say, yep, this is okay to release. So that means that it is going through a fail safe, right? It is being validated. It is being pushed. It is being supported by multiple people that are in these organizations that disregard and disrespect Trump. It's messed up. It's absolutely messed up. They basically doctoring stuff, and then they trying to act like that he's not justified for wanting to defend his name. And imagine if he had never became president of the United States of America again. We wouldn't even be talking about this. This would be swept under the rug. Nobody would have a conversation about it. It wouldn't even be a thing.
BBC's Director General Tim Davie has also resigned. As for the suit, a spokesperson for the BBC says they're reviewing the letter from Trump's team. BBC Chair Samir Shah has also apologized for, quote, an error of judgment over the edit.
An error of
apologize
judgment?
for the coverage of the Israeli.
Why even edit that in the first place? An error of judgment over. So, and here's the worst part about it is that they're not even taking full responsibility for it. You know what? We did this because we were trying to paint a narrative, or we didn't like Trump at the time because A, B, and C reasons, or whatever, so on and so forth. And so I apologize. I retract it. I take it back. This is actually the real footage in its entirety. And I think that Trump needs to be compensated. That's a real apology. That's a real apology. You can't even apologize. You can't even get away with apologizing to your girl that week. If you do something wrong, right? And then you smear her name, or you smear his name, or you get into a conversation or an argument or do something, you can't just come back and say, sorry, or this is the equivalent of that. I apologize that you feel that way. I hate motherfuckers that do stuff like that. I hate when people say stuff like that. I apologize if you took it the wrong way. So, nigga, you apologizing because I feel some way, not because you were wrong. I apologize. That's basically what it says. I'm apologizing because if I apologize if you took it the wrong way. No. Apologies need to be action oriented, not just words. The words is the confirmation. The apology has to be actionable. It has to be steps taken to prevent it from happening again. It has to be steps taken to rectify it. It has to be all of that. It can't just be some empty apology and saying some wild stuff. Nope, I don't like the disingenuous fake apology. I don't like it. Eric D says this is fake outrage from MAGA. And then he put the laughing emoji. Ain't gonna lie, I do that all the time, Anton. I love doing that. Why do y'all do that? Chill AD, that's me. I apologize for you feeling some type of way, but this has to be said. Why do y'all do that? Why do y'all apologize for somebody feeling some way? Anytime you add an if to it or feel, I apologize for you feeling that way, or I apologize if you got offended. You're not apologizing for being offensive. You're apologizing because I took what you said as offensive. That's not an apology. That's not even an apology. Y'all got to learn how to apologize correctly.
The Israeli-Palestinian conflict in Gaza, too. Thanks so much, Todd.
But to leave out peacefully and patriotically protest, I mean, that is the whole point right there.
Who's the writer? Adam Schiff?
Right.
Well, and similar thing happened with the Kamala interview.
Yeah.
They edited that interview.
But the edits are always
That was a different network.
going one direction.
Right, one side.
It's crazy.
All they had to do was not put it out, and they wouldn't be facing a $1 billion lawsuit. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.